time now for everyone's favorite segment of the week.
It's time for a good old-fashioned Q&A, MMA fans.
Shook my head that much because now I have a headache again. Wow, a lot of questions.
Has arrived to hear from the man himself.
That's
Ariel
me, baby.
Helwani. Live from the Box Studios
Yes.
in beautiful New York City.
Beautiful.
It's on
Emphasize
the nose.
beautiful.
And now, to answer your questions.
That's me, baby.
Get out of your seats and
Out of your
feet
seats.
Because here he is.
Here I am.
Ariel Helwani.
Yeah. Here I am once again. I'm falling to pieces. Can't deny. Do we have any breaking news music, Frank? It's fantastic. It's one of the great drops that we've ever had on this program. I asked Frank at the beginning of the show if we can have some breaking news music because, my friends, we've got breaking news. Play it again one more time. Breaking news, El Cubano not first this week. How about that? El Cubano got beaten to the punch, and the beautifulest thing about the whole scenario, I don't even think the dude realized he made history. Carmine Alvaro just walked right into it and had no idea what he was doing because he didn't reference the fact that he was first. Didn't even reference the fact that he beat El Cubano. Cubano very gracious in defeat. But here's Carmine Alvaro leading us off. Now, I think people in the comments let him know, yeah, congrats. Wow, Carmine with the sneak attack. You mean beating El Cubano? That's someone else. LOL. Let's go, Carmine. How can you be so chill? Don't you see you created history? Cubano weighs in. History is meant to be broken. Wow, it's just... Carmine then says, hey, mate, I do the same thing every week with the alarm at 10:30 p.m. Adelaide time. You always seem to beat me. Haha, don't worry, El Cubano. You'll always be the GOAT. I mean, how about this? Amazing. Anyway, this is the question. This is the question that made history. One day there's going to be a Trivial Pursuit. There's going to be a whole big thing on Jeopardy. Who beat El Cubano and with what question? This is the question. Hey, Ariel, I'm going from Adelaide to Syracuse in July for my cousin's wedding. I was wondering if you had any recommendations on any spots to see or places to eat while I'm there. That's the one. Also, I wouldn't mind a Vox Studios tour while I'm in New York. Haha. Now, this reminds me of a story. Porch thing's still there. I mean, this is driving me nuts. Reminds me of a story. When Thurman Thomas was drafted by the Buffalo Bills, he thought that he was going to New York City because they told him Buffalo, New York. In reality, he was going to Buffalo, which is a fine city, but nothing like New York City. No bright lights, no Times Square. He thought he was going to get to go to Knicks games. This question sort of reminds me a little bit of that because Syracuse is like 4.5 hours away from New York. I don't know if he's going to make the drive. Also reminds me of a great individual fan, longtime fan named Dave Noseworthy, who's from Halifax, might be Cape Breton. Well, he's definitely from Nova Scotia. In 2014, I was invited to go back to Syracuse to speak to the students. And it was just a big deal to me. I wasn't inviting anyone. He bought a plane ticket to come see me speak to the students because he realized, I guess, how big of a deal it was. It was a really lovely weekend. I went with my kids, my wife. It was beautiful. We even watched the first Bisping Rockhold fight in the lobby of the Sheraton Hotel on campus. And he thought Syracuse, New York, he was coming to New York. He didn't realize that it was, I think he actually bought the ticket to New York City and then realized Syracuse is not in New York City and then had to take the train. So this kind of reminds me of that. All that to say, I haven't been to Syracuse since 2014. I see someone here recommending Pastabilities. I have been to Pastabilities. There was another place that my parents always used to go to when they came to visit me. El Gioconda or something? Dinosaur Barbecue. Of course, there's the Carousel Center. I would go to the campus. It's beautiful in July. There isn't a ton going on there, though, I will admit. The campus, to me, was the most beautiful part. Carousel Center was fun. Wow, this is crazy. Wow, Dave Noseworthy just DM'd me. Wow, I guess he's listening. What's up, Dave? How are you, bud? Gander, Newfoundland. I screwed that up. Why'd I say Nova Scotia? He said, most stressful day of his life, worth it, though. I mean, the fact that he even flew in for that was crazy, and then he flew into the wrong place. But we made it happen, and we watched Bisping Rockhold together. What a legend. Shout out to Dave Noseworthy. Did I not alert the masses? Should I alert the masses about this? New York Rick doesn't tell people about this segment. Okay, here we go. Anyway, back to the questions. El Cubano, second. Hola, Ariel. Earlier this week, the clairvoyante, my daughter Claire, who had 2 correct picks on Saturday, Bills 1,800-0 over the Patriots, pretty much what the score was, and of course Calvin Cater over Giga Chikadze, picked Deiveson Figueiredo to win this weekend against Brandon Moreno. She did. So take some solace in that, GC. If she were to be correct again, the series will officially be even after the trilogy 1-1-1. Correct. Hypothetically speaking, if Figgy does pull out the victory, how willing would the UFC be to book a 4th consecutive bout between these 2 fighters? Viva Helwani. Fantastic question, and I think they would be more willing to book it because it's the flyweight division and there isn't a ton going on. Yes, I know there's Askar Askarov. Yes, I know there's Alexandre Pantoja, but it ain't 170. It ain't 185. It ain't heavyweight. So I actually think there is a chance. Now, because Figueiredo was the champion at the beginning of this, see, I always thought they should have gone back to Sarah GSP 3. But I think because GSP won the belt, they were like, okay, we're done with this in the rematch. And so because Figueiredo, in this particular circumstance, will end up with the belt, which is what the scenario was when this whole thing started, maybe they'll feel like time to move on. But I don't think it's a crazy idea at all. So yeah. And I think it's partially, or maybe even in large part, because of the flyweight division just not having a lot of people. Now there are people coming up. We've got Kaikar France, of course, and Mohamed Mokhayev. People are very high on, still very young, but maybe. If it's a tremendous fight, could definitely happen. Any idea from Antonio what the fascination is with calling everything fake these days? When Jorge and Colby first started beefing, everyone cried that it was fake. But if you had been watching their interviews, you could tell something was going on, for sure. Remember, there was a slow build here. This is years in the making. You could tell something was going on. So he's right. Antonio's right. It was going on before they actually said it. Kawa yelling at you to never make them wait on Colby again was an example. Wow, I forgot about that. I totally forgot about that. Does everybody simply want to be able to say, I knew it, in case something actually has worked? I hate that. I hate the rush to say that a fight is fixed. I hate the rush to say that something is fake, a beef is fake, a guy is fake, a guy's scared. I don't know. I don't know what the fascination is, but it's annoying. Israel, good morning from Idaho. Good morning. With Francis's contract issues out in the public, I feel it has really magnified numbers of fights left on contracts, such as Nate. With Conor rumored to only have 2 fights left, not a rumor, it's true. How differently do you think it plays out with the Conor UFC contract? Thank you as always. I think Conor wants to be in the UFC. I think Conor is happy with what he gets paid for the most part. And also, again, as I've said in the past, okay, where's Conor going to go? He's going to go to boxing? Yeah, he'll make a lot, but is that his bread and butter? Does he want to put on his own show? That costs a lot. For the top 1%, it still makes sense. And it's secure. And there's a lot of money to be made. And so there are 4 potentially big free agents this year. There are guys, I mean, I heard that Rafael Sunsao is a free agent and some other names. No one huge at the moment. Kayla, of course, but I reported yesterday, all but done. That's, I mean, essentially just waiting on the signature. The mystery is over. Sound the alarm. Can we get a breaking news, Frank, for that one? It's not really breaking news, but I think he went to lunch. Did you go to lunch? Lunch? Not there? What happened? I guess, did he leave? Did he quit? I think that's, I mean, I don't think, I know. It's all but done. And it makes sense. Most money, security, all that stuff. So you can take her off the table. Diaz, Conor, and Ngannou, Izzy, there's a chance they all remain. Historically, a lot of people don't leave, especially in their prime. But yes, this is going to be a thing that's going to be talked about more and more. And honestly, I think it's because of us. The media added a whole new level of intrigue to this fight. This fight would have been fascinating and anticipated and intriguing, all that stuff, just with the storyline of Gane and Ngannou and the coach and all that stuff. But this adds a whole new layer. And so you're welcome for the pay-per-view buys. Matt, Ariel, good morning. Is Dana announcing a fight, Paddy versus Gordon, Paddy Pimblett versus Jared Gordon? I have some thoughts on that. Before one fighter has even been contacted, a new all-time low. Nah, not really all-time low. I understand the Barstool-Paddy relationship and the fact that it would be good promotion for the UFC, but it doesn't sit right with me. So I saw this clip of Dana on Dave Portnoy's podcast announcing, well, I think Dave was kind of trying to get him to announce it, and then he did, and he looks off to the side, and he's like, yeah, Paddy's going to fight March 19th at the O2 against Jared Gordon. Remember, I was talking about Jared Gordon last week on the show where he told me he hadn't been contacted. I saw that. I sent him the tweet, and I was like, hey, congrats, you got the fight. He said, what do you mean? And I guess the tweet didn't come through. He's like, I haven't been called. I haven't been told anything, which I thought was, all right, super interesting. Now I said, is this going to be a problem? And he said, no, I'd love the fight. So yes, end result the same, but there is something to be said for the fact that they didn't even tell him. Now, his manager, Brian Butler, goes on Twitter and is like, hey, we don't know anything about this. And then even Paddy's manager, Graham Boylan, says, hey, this isn't a done deal. So yes, it's a weird look. And it makes me think Dana looked at the wall, saw it there as a proposed matchup, and then just, thank you. Where the hell were you? I asked for this 5 minutes ago. Where did you go?
Not everybody could sit for 4 hours.
Okay, well, thanks. I mean, I'm in the middle of a story here. But I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So he says it, but they didn't go out and reach. Now, here's what's interesting about it. Two things. You can't get mad at fighters. You can't get mad at media for announcing things. By the way, the media, more often than not, right. Certainly, I could speak for myself always. When you're announcing things prematurely, I mean, it's got to be two-way street here. Okay, that's me just being petty. Number two, though, what's more interesting is I saw Dana on with Kevin Iole afterwards. Someone sent me the clip, and he's like, oh, this manager, that's why I hate this shit. Manager comes on here trying to be a Twitter tough guy chirp. It's like, no, that's his job. That's the guy's job. The guy's job is to represent his fighter. The guy's job is to work in the best interest of his fighter. Again, like I said, what's the average amount of fights that a UFC fighter has? 7, 8, 9, 10? Like, what's that number? They only get a finite amount of time to tell their story, to be out there, to capitalize on this moment in time. Let them do it in the best way possible for them. A throwaway announcement that wasn't even a done deal might be good for you in that moment, but what does that really ultimately do for Dana White in that moment? For Jared Gordon, that was a really big deal. For Paddy Pimblett, that was a really big deal. And if they were on board, great. But to find out like that seems a little bit weird to me. Now, again, perhaps this is much ado about nothing and everyone's, getting all up in arms over, I mean, like, it's a fine fight and no one will remember this in 3 months. But it does seem weird for the organization that gets so mad about the media announcing these fights, when in reality, the way in which they are reported, announced, the vehicle, it's all so very inconsequential to the business, because at the end of the day, who's making all the money? It ain't us. For them to be the ones to jump the gun, i.e. Izzy Whitaker, i.e. Paddy Gordon, i.e. name another fight, to me feels quite hypocritical. Am I crazy? If you guys were announcing things when they were done, then you could be like, look, we don't jump the gun, you guys don't jump the gun. But that's not the case. And so, yeah, it's a weird look. And then to blast the manager and say, yo, chill out. When you used to be a manager yourself, seems like, I mean, obviously it's been a long time since he was a manager, so you forget how that game is played. But it's like you that's their job, man. Everyone has a job in this thing. And their job may be more important because at the end of the day, it's their money and it's their events and all that stuff. They're at the very top of the mountain. But everyone has a role in this thing called the fight game. You can't hate on the manager for being like, yo, no one told us. They didn't say we're sitting out. They didn't say we're not going to take the fight, but it's good to get the heads up. If you were an odds maker, what would you set the Burns Chimaev line at? Oh, that's a good one. GC, you have a pick on that? You have an odds?
He as well has gotten.
God, you guys are just leaving me on an island. Well, when he comes back, let me know what he thinks. Nico, hey, Ariel, last week you mentioned Conor had distanced himself from Dillon Danis. I mean, that was just me kind of, putting a little salt in the wound there. But I mean, like, do you see Conor talking about Dillon? I was watching my phone, and I was watching Instagram Live. I was looking at my phone, I should say. And Conor jumps on there, and Dillon's like, hey, champ, hey. Just like the kid, like, tugging at the shirt. And Conor's like, Dillon, let's go, get back. And it was so telling. It was so telling that he was like, we got to get back out there, man. It just felt to me like, and I've seen them pose and all that. And quite frankly, I couldn't care less about the relationship. But it did seem to me like a little bit of distancing. Anyway, can you elaborate? There's nothing to elaborate. I've not looked into it. I haven't asked Conor about it, anything like that. So I got nothing. A good response here from Lewis. Conor likes to be the richest guy in the room. So with Dillon Danis around, it wasn't possible. Ha! If Figueiredo wins by an inch, do they do the fourth Moreno fight for Matt? Yeah, I think there's a strong case. Jesse, hey Ariel, as a proud Canadian who specializes in interviewing athletes and entertainers, I have to imagine you are familiar with Nardwuar, the human serviette legend, living legend. In fact, my good friend Brandon Svark just asked me this very question like 3 days ago if I knew who Nardwuar was, and of course I do. He's incredible. I bet Frank knows who Nardwuar is.
Is it the Domino's character?
What?
Yeah, I'm completely wrong. I don't know.
Nardwuar. No, that's the guy. You mean like the little like cartoon character guy from back in the day?
Yeah.
What was that guy's name?
Thought it was the Nardwuar.
No. You don't know Nardwuar? You're a big music guy.
I don't, but you know what?
The Noid. The Noid.
The Noid. That's
the Noid.
Yeah, but Connor's back.
Conor, do you know Nardwuar?
No, never heard of it.
Oh my, never heard of it.
Him?
He's a freak. He's a guy he's like a quirky Canadian music interviewer who gets biggest,
yeah.
And he breaks out like all their old artifacts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like, I got this
like
poster from your first show back in like Baton Rouge in 1983. Anyway.
He does like huge people too. Like I'm looking at a picture of him with Drake. Yeah, no, I know who this is.
Oh, he's the freaking man, Nardwuar. I'm shocked that Frank doesn't know who Nardwuar is. Someone asked, he left. Someone asked for the Shemaev Burns line if they make that fight.
I think the future one was Shemaev minus 300.
Wow, really?
Yeah, Bet Online like does like future bout things. And someone tweeted it at me and it's like minus 300. Yeah, he's a heavy favorite. Okay.
Someone asked me last week on the show if Ramadan would affect that April 9th date, and I asked Khamzat's team, and they said no, it won't. So if it happens on April 9th, Ramadan starts April 2nd. They said, I didn't really get into it, but they said, no, that won't be a problem. So, well, you didn't know if I was going to go. No, that was it. It's just a quick, I just.
Are there rumors of Brazil in May? Is that
yes, there are rumors of Brazil in May.
Throw
Charles
Gilbert on there?
No, I think the date that I heard was April 9th. But I would like Charles and Gaethje in May, and then Glover and Yuri Prochaska on that card as well. Let Charles and Glover have their moment in Brazil. I mean, it's very exciting that they're going back to the UK. That crowd is going to be insane. That crowd is going to be so hot. Wow. Anyway, I can even see a little bit of his style, Nardwuar style, in yours. Wow, thank you. What are your feelings on Nardwuar? Legend. I love him. I love the artifacts. I love the little gifts. I love the research. He's the best. Again, legend. Love that guy. I would love to interview him. Please tell me you're a big fan. I am. It would only make sense. Dak says, what similarities do you see between Ariel and Nardwuar other than being well prepared? Ariel is professional and likable, and Nardwuar is quite possibly the most irritating media member on the planet Earth. What? You're crazy. Okay, let me go to the next one. What is the hierarchy like in the UFC? I know Dana is probably at the top, but then you have people like Hunter Campbell, chief legal counsel, not his lawyer. I liked when Dana referred to Nikisa Bedarian as his former accountant. This guy was the CFO of the UFC. He was in the room when they sold the company for $4.025 billion. He was not doing their taxes. I can assure you of that. It's weird to refer to someone like that. Who's the CFO of the company? What? What is the hierarchy like in the UFC? Okay, you got Hunter, you got Sean, you got Mick. How much power do they hold? I would make a strong case right now that the most powerful person in the UFC is Hunter Campbell. He's the one who's in the trenches doing these negotiations. Like, I'm talking Nate, it's Hunter. I'm talking Francis, it's Hunter. I'm talking big-time fights, Izzy, it's Hunter. It's not Dana. Dana's doing the media, and he's the figurehead. Hunter Campbell is arguably the most powerful person in the UFC right now. Hunter Campbell's dad used to be Lorenzo Fertitta's lawyer for many years and also was the lawyer. So he worked with Dana as well, and they worked with the UFC. So he's been there a long time. And then when the previous chief legal counsel left, he came in and took over a lot of the responsibilities of Lorenzo in the sense that it was like a good cop, bad cop thing with Dana, but he is doing a lot of that negotiations. He's not just like a lawyer. Not at all. Not even close. He's doing a lot of that stuff. And for the most part, I have to say, a lot of people speak very highly of him. They like dealing with him. Level-headed, not too emotional, doesn't make it personal. I have never actually met Hunter Campbell. I've had one interaction with him. I don't know if I've ever told this story on the show, but YOLO. I remember I was actually here when I reported it. I was leaving the studio that he was taking the job as the new chief legal counsel. I think this was in 2017. And I got a text from him saying, wow, the great Ariel Helwani has tweeted about me. How cool. Hey, man, I'm paraphrasing here, but like, I'm a big fan of journalism. I'm a fan of what you do. If you ever need anything, this is my number. And I remember thinking to myself, like, wow, this is great. Maybe it's a sign of a different time, a sign that things are changing. And I texted that number on several other occasions and never got a reply. That was it. That was the one interaction. So I don't know what happened afterwards. I don't know who told him not to do that anymore or whatever, but I was very excited to get that text and I never got anything else, which is a bummer. Hunter, give me a call. Text. I know you know who I am. Let's chat. I feel like I'm doing some good stuff here. That would be a big interview. I'd love to have that interview on the show. That would be a great one. Could you imagine? So anyway, Hunter's there. Lawrence Epstein is there. Dana's there. And then you've got Mick and Sean who have their... I think that they have a supremely tough job. And it's crazy to me that there aren't like scouts and people working under them. I mean, you think of it like a baseball team, baseball operations. You've got so many people that you don't know of. You know who the president of baseball operations is. You know who the GM is. But all the scouts and all those people, like there's a ton all over the world. They don't have anything like that. It's a very small team. But yeah, I'd say Hunter, Dana, Lawrence, Mick, Sean, they're probably the most important. There's someone named Tracy in the legal department. She's important, not really making decisions, but an integral part of the team. And then, of course, you have Ari Emanuel and Patrick Whitesell, who are kind of in the ownership side of things, but obviously very important as well. Hey, Ariel, thoughts on Amanda leaving ATT and also your favorite Adelaide Crows player? Oh, that'd have to be Ben Hart. Ben Hart's fantastic. He'd probably be my favorite of all time. Amanda leaving ATT, I will say I had been hearing rumblings of this for a while. Bit of a long time coming type of situation, not a total shock. I would say to leave and start your own team. Let's see where she lands. Remember, she came from MMA Masters and went to ATT. So I don't know if she goes back to Masters. To start your own thing is a tough thing to do. I think that raises some red flags going into the rematch with Pena. I think that makes things interesting between her and Kayla Harrison. Obviously, that fight's not going to happen anytime soon with Kayla Harrison re-signing, but it won't be the longest deal, so it could happen maybe in 18, 20 months or something like that. Yeah, I think it's an interesting move. What also makes it interesting is that Dan Lambert, founder of ATT, has been her manager for many years. I asked Dan if he can comment on that. I asked him if he will remain her manager, and he said he couldn't comment. So I think that's interesting as well. Any chance, this is from Ryan, any chance we get a Discord server going for the real Helwanis to talk things including MMA? My good friend TST was telling me about Discord and that it was something interesting to look into. I know nothing about it. Do you know anything about Discord back there?
Yeah, it's like Slack.
Yeah.
But
it's just like a chat?
related. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not my thing. I mean, I feel like I got enough going on. Are you a big Bitcoin guy, Frank?
No, I defer to Joe on all things Bitcoin.
Joe, so there was some big news yesterday that Francis Ngannou is going to convert half of his purse into Bitcoin. This makes no sense to me. I know nothing. I'm completely clueless when it comes to Bitcoin. I don't know what it is, how you get it, how you touch it, how you use it, if that's smart. Like, is that smart? Joe, tell us. Is that smart?
Joe is making, he's wincing.
He doesn't think it's smart. Joe's more mysterious than you are at this point.
Yeah, because I just tried to hand him the mic and
he wants nothing to do with it. He doesn't want his voice.
I think it's yeah.
Joe, come on, tell us. Is it smart or not? I'm legitimately curious to know why someone would do this. Why not take the money?
He just says he has no idea to comment on that right
now. GC, are you a Bitcoin guy?
I got a little invested. Nothing crazy.
Wow, look at you. Okay. What do you think of that?
I didn't hear that question. I was putting my headphones on.
I mean, this is just a comedy of error. Is anyone listening to me back there? Is anyone still alive back there?
Frank kills the room, so I had to put the headphones on.
Oh, he kills the room. Okay. He's converting half of his purse into Bitcoin, Francis Ngannou. So I was just wondering.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah.
Some NFL players get their whole thing. Some NBA players too get their whole.
That's crazy.
In Bitcoin.
So good. Like, what does that even mean? NFTs, Bitcoin. It gives me all.
Your boy TST loves NFTs.
Yeah. Just
Karen Camel.
I don't even know what that is.
That's
Gary V.
Yeah, this is Gary V. NFT. Ask him about Gary V's book. And
I'm the one who introduced him to Gary V.
Well, he owns like 150 of Gary V's book.
Anyway, Gary V would be a good guest on this program. So yeah, Discord sounds cool, but no real thoughts at the moment on it or doing it. Hi, Ariel. If you had to, would you rather, by the way, Mr. Jorge Masvidal coming up in 20 minutes, so stay tuned. If you had to, would you rather take a leg kick from Justin Gaethje or a body kick from Giga? Oh, God. Neither, but if I had to, I don't know. I guess the body kick, because it will kill in the moment, but hopefully, I don't know. I mean, the leg could break, but I guess your ribs can break. I don't know. But I guess if I had to, the body kick. Big fan of the show. Shout out to my brother, Griffin Jones. We're both pumped to see Todd Duffy versus John Vellante this weekend. Bills Mafia. Patrick, favorite segment of the week. Hello, 2 quick questions. How's your relationship with John Jones these days? I haven't talked to him in a while. Is he still salty because of your friendship with DC? I don't think so. John doesn't do any interviews. When's the last time John did any kind of interview? I hope we see John Jones in the front row Saturday night, pond, taking it all in. He's on Twitter. John, if you're listening, let's have you on the show on Monday to react to the main event. How about that? That'd be fun, just like old times. So, no beefs here. I think he didn't like the one time where I said that I didn't have him as my pound-for-pound best, but that's stupid. I hope that's not the case. No issues on this end. How have you not been on the McAfee show? Can we expect an appearance this week to hype up the UFC pay-per-view and get some Bills talk as well? I don't know. They've been ghosting me lately. I was thinking about it. Haven't been on in a while. Didn't make the year-end video. No interactions whatsoever. Is it possible that when I ripped his picture, that kind of went a little too far? I guess it's possible. I mean, mea culpa, hand raised. It was how I was feeling in the moment. But yes, I have not been asked to go on. Weird. My feeling was they recognize just how popular I am. They recognize the behemoth that we are, that we're coming for them, that we're nipping at their heels, and they don't want to put us over. They don't want to give us the shine. They don't want to. They want to give the rub to the competition. It'll be very Ultimate Fighter Monday Night Raw-esque when Monday Night Raw opened the door for the Ultimate Fighter to come on after them on Spike TV, and then all of a sudden Ultimate Fighter UFC got so big. It would be sort of like that. So I can understand it. I can understand the trepidation. If Ngannou wins this weekend, what do you think the UFC does with the heavyweight title? Because it seems like Ngannou is headed to free agency one way or the other. No, they're going to re-sign him. That's my opinion. They're going to give him the money that he wants, and he will resign. I really do believe that. No insider information there, just what my heart is saying. Hey, Ariel, I have 2 questions. Have you seen the video of John Jones trying to dunk a basketball? Yes. I have referenced, maybe he doesn't like me because of that, because I have referenced John Jones' basketball skills on this program, or lack thereof. And yes, I mean, it's not great. When we have him on the MMA hour, hopefully Monday, but I'm not holding my breath. Ariel, Kayla always talked about her competitiveness and wanting to be the best fighter in the sport. To be the best, she would have to beat some of the best. I don't see PFL signing anyone like that. Was the money that drastic to get her to stay and keep fighting women no one has heard of? Yes. She's getting great money. And by the way, considering who she is in the sport and, her lack of experience, if you will, UFC came correct from what I'm hearing. UFC came correct, but the PFL deal was the best by far. And by the way, Kayla can still fight this season in the PFL, and let's see how, but you have to remember, this person is very competitive, dedicated her life to the Olympics. Olympians don't make a lot of money. She now has 2 children that she adopted. Take the money and run. No one cares at the end of the day. You can't go to the bank and deposit a UFC belt and get money for school and for clothes and for food and for trips and for home repairs. You can't. She's a single mother raising 2 children. Let's recognize this, people. Anyone giving her crap for this decision is a complete asshole. Facts. FAX. I get that you all want, like, I'm seeing media guys give her crap. Like, I get that you guys want to see your little Kayla Harrison UFC fight. She's a human being, small window, competing her whole life, didn't make a lot of money. She's getting paid a boatload to fight lesser competition. That seems like the best gig on the planet. Take that money and run. Come on. Killshaw, happy Good Memory Day, Ariel. Thank you. With Giga's 9 out of 10 comment post-Qatar fight, Calvin Kattar fight, excuse me. Which fighter in recent memory with lowest odds has oversold and underdelivered? Gerald Mearshart comes to mind. But are there others you got excited for right before fights and then brought back to reality? Man. Probably, but I can't think of any at the moment. Gerald was a good one, where I like bought it, hook, line, and sinker, and then they didn't show up. I mean, Juliana was talking a big game, but she backed it up. On a side note, quick thoughts on Everton sacking Rafa Benitez and what lies ahead for them. Do you think they'll get relegated? No. Is it time you changed your allegiance to Liverpool? No, never. Listen, once you're blue till you die. Blue moon. No, I know that's Man City. Relax, everyone. Hey, Ariel, it's Theo, longtime fan, first-time poster. What's up, Theo? Lauren, my new wife, we got married on Sunday, also loves listening to your shows. Mazel tov. That's amazing. Shout out to you and Lauren. We are going to UFC 271, our second UFC event. Which fighter, other than the main event for 271, are you most looking forward to? Also, what is your favorite part of a Jewish wedding? Wow. Personally, the horror with my family and friends was mine. I can't imagine what that was like. I like that. I love the custom of breaking the glass. I think it's a really cool thing. When we broke the glass for our wedding, my father-in-law actually picked up, it was a light bulb, and we smashed it, and he picked it up and put it in he took the glass, put it in his pocket, and then gave us this cube thing where it put the glass back together. I thought that was really cool with our names on it and stuff. So I like that custom. That's fun. As for 271, I think the Cannonier-Brunson fight is gigantic. So stay tuned for that. Also, Casey O'Neill, Roxanne Modafferi retirement fight. That should be fun as well. Top of the morning, Lord Ariel. Yes, that's right. I don't know if you heard the news, but I'm a Lord now, thanks to our good friends that we mentioned on Monday for the piece of land in Scotland. There it is. Wow. How about that? Lord Ariel. Thank you very much for that. Yes. My Lord, top of the morning to you. No, I can't do it. Horrible accent. I was wondering why you have not yet commented on the UFC's March 26th card. It's Jan versus Alexander Rakic. I broke that news. The great thing about this fight is it's a fight night with fans in Columbus. Yes, this is great. I've actually already purchased my tickets. And now with this morning, them officially confirming the London card with fans, this will be 2 weeks in a row with fans and fight nights. This is great. Is this the end of the Apex? No, I think they'll still use the Apex. But hopefully it's less and less. 12 minutes. Jorge Masvidal. Hey, Ariel, any news of a main event for UFC London? Not yet. I know there's the Arnold Allen Hooker fight, but when I was speaking to people, they said it was 3 rounds. But I think it could be worthy. That fight is fun. And again, they could put me versus Frank in the main event, and I think they still sell it out in minutes. Not a huge fan of the NFL, but good luck to your Bills this weekend. Thank you. I'll be rooting for them. Nervous, excited. I just want one. That's all, guys. One. And I'll shut up. I'm not going to be one of these fans who's like, oh, I want back-to-back. I just want one. I just want to know what it feels like to see your team win. That's it. I want to know what that Sunday night feels like when they're hoisting the trophy and there's the confetti. And then I just want to know what it feels like once. That's it. That's all I ask for. Once. one Nick championship, one Bills championship, one Expos World Series. I'm good for life. I'll never ask for anything again, when it comes to sports. Will, do you ever see a scenario where you and Dana have a sit down to hash out the beef? No, and not because of me, because I would do it. I was prepared to go and do it. When the UFC on ESPN deal started, I was asked to send a text. I said I would get on a plane and do it, and it wasn't reciprocated. So I don't see why things would change now. And why did your loyalty fall with the Bills and not the Jets or Giants? Because in Montreal at the time when I was growing up, the Bills were the team that were on all the time on NBC, Game of the Week. And so I would see them a lot, but it's really, I watched them against the Giants in that first Super Bowl in 1991. I'm 8 years old. Scott Norwood misses the field goal. I feel something in my heart that I've never felt before as a quote-unquote fan. I'm just 8. I felt bad for those guys, and I wanted to see them get that championship. And I felt like heartbreak for them. And so I said, that's my team. And I just rolled with them. Alex, on Monday, Aljo told us Jan will be getting pay-per-view points as the interim champ. Is that the norm? Yes. That's why I've always said, I hate what the interim title does to the belts. It waters them down. But I do love the fact that it does get the interim champion pay-per-view points. So yes, more often than not, that is the case. Do you presume the same for Cyril? Yes. I am always curious who's getting a variable purse based on pay-per-view buys. I know historically it's just a champ, but what about other big stars? Nate, yes. Jorge, yes. Colby, not sure about. Dustin, rematch. No, sorry, trilogy. I keep saying rematch because it was the second after the 7 years in between. But yes, trilogy, yes. But it's very rare. They're more open to it. Look, we talk about this. This is the truth. And this is why I will always tell it to you like it is. Okay? We talk about fighter pay, and there's a lot of people in the media that talk about fighter pay, but it's the same old hits. And I'm not just trying to sit here and do the old Barry Horowitz, but I'll talk about it and I'll give you my opinion, but I will also talk to people. There needs to be more talking. There needs to be more phone calls. There needs to be more research, more reporting. The UFC is actually paying more money to their stars than they ever have before. I just told you they came correct with Kayla. I thought what I heard, the deal on the table was a very good one for someone of her stature in the sport and experience level in the sport. They're actually paying, the top guys are getting increasingly happier. The top. Now I'm saying the middle class is the issue and the lower class is a bit of an issue as well. I would even say the lower class isn't the issue. It's really like the middle to the newbie champions. The top, they're actually getting a pretty good salary for what the history of UFC salaries would state. Now, do they get a good salary compared to boxing stars? No. Compared to NBA, revenue sharing, all that. But in terms of what it's been, it actually has come a ways. You know what I mean? It has improved. Can it improve more? Should it improve more? Yes. Hey, Ariel, I feel like Francis's situation has to be one of the most interesting championship storylines heading into a fight that I've seen. I agree. How often do you get someone of this magnitude putting not only the heavyweight title, but potentially his future career on the line? It's crazy. I was wondering what you think of his timeline could look if he retains the belt. If he retains the belt, I think they're going to try their best to resign him. I mean, they'll still have a year to do so. So it's not like he's going to walk away like CM Punk did against John Cena. His deal expires December 31st, 2022. Champions clause or not. Greetings from South Carolina, Ariel Corbin. The one division that still seems stale lately is light heavyweight. I don't see why Yuri wouldn't just take the fight with Rakic because he's going to have to fight him anyway if they both win their next fights. Well, he wanted the championship. But yeah, it has been a little stale because Yuri hasn't fought in a while and they kind of kept him on ice there. But there's some people coming up and I think Glover shaking it up was fun. So, I mean, you lose a guy like John Jones, it's going to take some time to rebuild it a little bit, but I don't hate it. I'm looking forward to that fight. Hey, Ariel from Ike. Hope you're well. I've got 2 questions if you don't mind. Firstly, assuming Francis wins this weekend, do you really think he walks away with the belt? No, because they'll have a year. If not, what sort of conclusion do you see with the UFC? I think ultimately he resigns. That's my prediction. That's my gut feeling. Secondly, after beating Masvidal, who does Colby fight next? Assuming Usman successfully defends. I really like this fight for the entertainment, but when you really dig down deep, it truly doesn't make sense for Colby to accept this fight. Of course it does. It's a big-time money fight. There's history there. There's a rivalry. I mean, it's the biggest fight he can have. without question. Who does he fight? I don't know. Gilbert? How about the winner of Gilbert and Chimaev? There's Luque out there. You know, there's a multitude. If Leon loses, if Usman loses, there's a multitude of people. Don't worry about that. Bonjour, Ariel from Benoit. Is it me or does the UFC not know how to build a new superstar? They put the prospect in a big match so quick like Ty and Lewis. I mean, Ty's not a prospect. He has been around. Chimaev, Burns. I'd rather see those guys fight guys you're ranked closer to top 10. I don't mind it. Sink or swim, the losses don't mean as much. I think the fans like it. And, you know, it's worth the shot. BZ Drippin'. I believe you have said before that the PFL needed to get to a point to when they could discuss PFL champions being in legitimate conversations with title holders in the UFC. I said that about Bellator, but I mean, it applies to everyone. So he's asking about Bellator. Do you think Sergio, Chris Cyborg, Pitbull would even have a shot? Yeah, I think Bellator has finally reached a point where they have multiple champions who could be in that conversation. Nemkov, Sergio, Cyborg, of course, AJ McKee. They've never had this many champions where you could say, all right, there's a conversation to be had. They're not just Gegard. You know, there's a conversation to be had. That's, to me, any organization trying to come up. Now, every organization has their own sort of raison d'être, their reason to be. Bellator, owned by Viacom on Showtime, they want to sell subscriptions. PFL, they've got investors. They've got a ton of investors. They want to make those people happy. That's their raison d'être. Same with One, by the way. UFC just raking in the dough. They're just so far and ahead of everyone. I think, by the way, we'll get a conclusion to that PFL TV deal situation very soon. My spidey sense says they return to the worldwide leader. And that's a very big story in its own right. It may not be a big story to the common MMA fan, but the platform means a lot. Huge for them to be back there. Good for ESPN, good for Plus and all that stuff. Surprised the UFC didn't have an issue with it. Or I actually think they had an issue, but shows that they can only push so much. Jacob, hey Ariel, Dana had said the 272 card was complete besides the co-main. And no idea. I get asked about the co-main a lot. No idea. Hey Ariel, 2 questions. Is a potential Diaz-Poirier bout high profile / worthy enough to main event the pay-per-view in your opinion? I mean, now that they went with Jorge and Colby, sure. In the past, they were always saying, like, if it ain't a Conor fight, it's got to be a title fight, right? Last non-title fight to headline a pay-per-view without Conor or Nathan Diaz was Nick versus Anderson in 2015. So it's been some time. 12, 13 pay-per-views a year, 12, like that's 70-something shows, right? So high 60s. So yeah, why not? In my opinion, it's got to be, if they're doing a 272 headliner as the main. Uncle Chael gets it wrong all the time, saying Jorge is the second biggest star. I believe Diaz is. Jorge's star is definitely dim, to say the least. Although I've watched casually since I was younger, around the late 2000s up to this present day, I've known the likes of Silva, GSP, the Diaz bros, Machida, Brock, and more. Just recently started paying attention. Were some fight nights... Yeah. So David is asking if back in the day on the fight nights or the Fox cards, did they put title fights? Yes. Well, they obviously put the heavyweight title fight back in the day. The first show, Kane, JDS. They put DJ. For the most part, those were saved for the big ones. And I think that it's fair to say like the 2 ABC shows last year weren't as big as what the early day Fox cards were. I think that's a very fair statement. So... you know, it's all in-house now for ESPN. As Dana said, they sold those pay-per-views. They gave them exclusively to ESPN Plus. So I think it would behoove in ESPN's mind to put those on Plus pay-per-views so that people subscribe and buy the pay-per-views and all that stuff. But yes, it does feel cool when those big fights are on free television, broadcast television. And that was more of the norm in the early Fox days. Towards the end, not so much. Early Fox days. What's up, Ariel? With the UFC returning to London on March 19th and Columbus March 26th, can we expect fight nights back on the road? I still think they'll go to Apex, but hopefully more on the road. Ariel, does the UFC have a criteria when it comes to making non-title co-main events 5 rounds? No. It's like basically if the two people agree on it and push for it, they'll do it. What surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble would get you most excited? Oh my. Surprise. How about Helwani? What if it goes and then it's and Helwani walks out of the curtain in St. Louis, Missouri. And I walk out there and I'm strutting my stuff and everyone's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Oh my God, the #1 personality in sports media hasn't. Come on, me versus Johnny Knoxville, who's a bigger deal? You tell me, what's a bigger deal if Helwani is in the Royal Rumble or Johnny Knoxville? With all due respect to Johnny Knoxville, I mean, 10 years past his prime. Frank, you tell me, bigger deal in the Royal Rumble, me or Johnny Knoxville?
I'm on the clock right now.
Me or Johnny Knoxville? Answer the question.
So you.
Come on, Johnny Knoxville? Johnny Knoxville, really?
I answered fairly.
Is this 1999? Johnny Knoxville is a bigger deal than me in the Royal Rumble?
I have said that you would be the better guest to have.
It's not a guest. It's an entrant. Okay? It's one of 30 men climbing through those ropes on our way to WrestleMania. We'll point to the sign, and I'll go in there first if I have to. And I'll throw every one of those jabrones over the top rope, including the biggest jabron of them all, Kevin Owens. All right? It's a big deal. Now, Royal Rumble coming up in a week and a half. I'm available. In fact, I'll be there. So I just want to let you all know, you better be on the lookout. Could you imagine what a scene that would be? Come in there with my singlet. Hey, Ariel, I wanted to be the first to say thank you for being the best in the business. Wow. Kevin, thank you. There's a reason why you get the best and in and outside the MMA world on your shows. The interview you just did with Dan Le Batard was amazing. Thank you. I love how your relationship with that show has evolved. Thank you. How close were you to signing with Meadowlark Media? Keep up the great work. Keep dropping those 10-7s on folks. And remember, no one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. I talked to Dan. I love Dan, but it just wasn't the right fit right now. And I'm very, very happy with how everything turned out. But yes, I love that. I love that line at the end there. Shout out to Chris Berman. Steven, Lord Ariel. Are the commentators hired by ESPN or employed by the UFC? The UFC commentators are employed by the UFC. They are paid by the UFC. So Anik, Rogan, Cormier, Cruz, Bisping, paid by the UFC. Now, I'm certain if ESPN had a problem with one of these people, but they don't really meddle in that sort of thing. It's a very unique deal. When you're watching the NBA on ESPN, those announcers aren't being paid by the NBA. Certainly not the teams. When you're watching MLB on ESPN, NFL on ESPN, the UFC deal is the most unique one. Even Top Rank on ESPN, it's ESPN doing the hiring and the paying. It's probably the most unique of all their deals. Are they fairly paid or same issue as the fighters? I mean, far be it for me to talk about what the other broadcasters are making. I would say based on what I know, I would like for them to get paid more. I think they're very, very good at their job, and I think they're an important piece of the whole presentation. Just remember hearing Rogan was basically doing for free in the earlier days of his career. Yeah, Rogan's doing fine now, and he could essentially do it free because he's doing fine. But like those guys are important. They really are. They've got great, like, think about the fact that they're A team, they're B team, there's really no drop off. I know fans complain about this guy or that guy, but they've got an incredible group of broadcasters, in my opinion. All very talented. All could do the pay-per-view this weekend. My guy, Lewis, if that fight happens, it's from Terrence. Hey, Ariel, can we have Pena on the show to talk about her wanting to fight Rousey? I reached out to Pena recently and she no-sold me. And then I saw her on with Mario Lopez on the Ellen show. What the heck? Shout out to Mike Heck. What the heck? New York Rick says Frank no-sold you because you challenged him to the UFC London main event. Makes sense. Did I? Did I challenge Frank in that?
You did, in passing.
Wow. Okay. The trash talk alone would be WWE type. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Ronda's not fighting. Oh, Lewis, my man, Lord knows. You said you will be at the Royal Rumble for BT. That is correct. I note that 15... Wait, is he going to ask me the question that I just talked about? Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I note that 15 of the 30 Royal Rumble match participants have been announced. Can we expect El Nariz to hit the... Wow, I didn't even see this one. Lewis and I are on the same page. I can't confirm nor deny. On a serious note, are there any lessons learned from covering Survivor Series last year? Things you want to try or do differently? I think more of the immediate post-match interviews like with Becky Lynch would be awesome. That is in the works. Yes, I'm enjoying it. Last one, can you think of any surprise entrance you would pop for? Wow. Same question. Yeah, Helwani, that's what I want. I can't really think of a surprise because everyone's under... You know what? I'll tell you one. Can we bring Bray Wyatt back? Can we end this nonsense with Bray Wyatt? Bray Wyatt was one of the best characters. Bray, Fiend, whatever. Can we bring him back? Imagine they do the and the music, like everything goes black and then it's like we're really sailing, and this, or the old school Bray Wyatt when he comes out. Remember that with the lamp? That'd be amazing. So that would be the one. Because I feel like no one sees it coming. Like no one is expecting him to come back. I miss Bray Wyatt. He was great. Okay, Mark, I'm repeating my question from last week. Thank you. I'm bitter about the pay-per-view increase. What are my options to show my displeasure? If I skip them, I lose as a fan. I'm not savvy with piracy. What are my options? No, I'm not advocating for that. I mean, yeah, you could go to a bar, or why don't you just have some friends over if you want to split it. If you liked watching alone, then I would say you just got to watch it. I mean, there's really nothing you can do. End of the day, $5. You hope it's not the end of the world, but I can understand where you're coming from. But yes, ultimately you will lose. And don't stream them. Come on. Don't be that guy. Hi, Ariel. How likely do you think John Jones is to face this weekend's winner? Man, if not now, when? I reported yesterday, Stipe is waiting and hoping, and he wants that shot. He wants to fight the winner. I don't know if they go back to that well. And so other than that, who else is out there? Derek just fought Cyril. I mean, maybe they go immediate rematch, but this is the time. If we don't see it now, I don't know what we're waiting for. It's going to be 2 years since his last fight next month. Any shot that UFC 273, which was rumored for Brooklyn, ends up in Seattle. No, I mean, Aljo said Jacksonville. And then I went around and asked everyone who's on that card, and they said they didn't hear that, so I'm not sure. But Jacksonville would make sense just given, their relationship with Jacksonville and that Jacksonville opened, their doors to them. What's up with Abe here? At the beginning of the pandemic. John, do you think there is any possibility of Conor, two ends, jumping the line at 155? It initially seemed like it was a possibility, being that it is Conor, but now with the Cejudo thing, does Conor, and now he spelled Conor Coonor, still have a shot at jumping the line? Now they're going to do Gaethje versus Charles. Now, does he jump the line when he comes back? I don't know. I think he's just messing with people. Honestly, if I were managing Conor, advising Conor, I would say, yo, let's ease back into it. Let's get our mojo going. Let's build you back up. No need to rush this, to push this. So I don't think that that's a really smart, like, you want to go back after a year in there and fight the champion? The guy who's on fire, beating everyone up? It's dicey. Hi, Ariel. Who's the one fighter / coach / promoter you wish you could interview but refuses to go on your show? God. I don't know. I don't want to give them that shine. I'm open to anyone. I am open to anyone. Also, just want to say I agree with New York Rick regarding Volkanovski's zombie fight. Not an attractive matchup, especially for a main event of a pay-per-view. And then the UFC wants me to spend my hard-earned $75 on this? No way, I'll pass on this one just on principle. Really? Did New York Rick crap on that fight? I'm okay with it. Zombies won 4 or 5. Cater's won 4 or 5. Holloway's not available. There aren't a ton of great options. Unless you really wanted the Cejudo fight, which I can understand. But, you know. It ain't going to happen. He's going to have to fix that or just go to 135, have his people talk to them, but it's not happening anytime soon. Thanks, Ariel. Congrats on being the best MMA show in the world. Adrian, Thug Nose, whatever happened to you and the other great nose, comedy great New York legend Andrew Schultz? I smelled the beef for a bit, but it seems to have faded away. I mean, there was no beef there. I think it was all in jest, I think. The whole Brendan thing. I think you two could have an incredible conversation and could really make for some amazing content. I have no issues with them whatsoever. I have no beef. I honestly, I'm not a huge follower. I don't follow a ton of comedians. I mean, I love comedy. That guy Sebastian is great. There's a really funny guy on Instagram, Leo Gonzalez, that I like. I'm butchering his name for sure. But yeah, no, I have no issues with him. He seems like a good dude and a very talented dude. We need you on the Flagrant 2 podcast. They had Israel Adesanya, but we need the real Helwani to show them something. Is that his podcast? They can't afford me. Second. Brett, in terms of production value, matchmaking, quality of cards, entertainment, what is in your opinion, the pound for pound best MMA promotion, quality relative to budget? Gosh. Let me just tell the guys here. That's a good question. UFC, obviously, when they do it big, I would have to say KSW. Have you seen KSW's walkouts? Their promotion is fantastic. I know they don't get the same kind of shine, and they're in Poland, and the names aren't, the biggest. But man, they put on a show. So I'll go with KSW. But then, okay, but now you're putting quality. I mean, obviously UFC, obviously. Bellator has the ability to do it big. I mean, that Ireland show was fantastic. They're going back next month. I look forward to that. Mousasi Vanderford. But KSW, I think, is doing a fantastic job. KSW Ryzen's doing a good, I mean, there's a lot. Jordan, I just want to thank you for what you have done for me. You inspired me to start writing about MMA, and I currently write at Fansided MMA. Congrats and good luck. Hopefully I can follow in the tracks of you. If it wasn't for Masvidal getting me into MMA and you writing about it, I don't know what career path I would have chosen. Well, thank you. Also, I've been watching McAfee every day for the past few years, and you need to get back on. Yeah, tell them. Spam them, not me. And you know what? They can't afford me. P.S. They also need someone who actually knows MMA/UFC, so hopefully I can be that guy if they start asking. Oh, okay. You want to take my spot? Shout out to you. Good luck, Jordan. Matan, do you have any updates on the TV deals with PFL or One? PFL, wouldn't be surprised. It's looking like ESPN. One, a little bit up in the air. I had heard Amazon. I had heard Peacock. I mean, the Turner deal seemed like it was a good thing with TNT, but the ratings weren't great, so that's what I'm hearing right now. Hugo, hey Ariel, long-time listener, first-time questioner. Last week, Kevin Holland and you mentioned how you guys should start a show and how heated rivals of the UFC should go against each other in different sports. It was funny you say that because I met Jorge Masvidal and Colby Covington at the same time and they were playing table tennis against each other. Just a fun fact. Keep up the awesome content. Wow, okay, maybe I'll ask Jorge about that. Mark, checking in to see if there are any updates on Vicente Luque. He's won 4 in a row and sits at number 4. No, nothing at the moment. Who would I like to see Luque fight? Bilal. How about Luque versus Bilal? That would be the one. What's the status of John Jones and Nick Diaz? I mean, Jones says he's he's, he's, he's waiting for the winner. And he's going to be watching them and doing the research. And Nick Diaz, nothing. I saw a video with him with a massive beard. Hopefully everything's okay. Not to say that the beard is an indication, but I just hope that he's doing well and is happy and being looked after. It was cool to see the winner of the DraftKings Fantasy Contest get some love this week. Perhaps in the future we have the winner calling for a quick chat. I mean, let's not get crazy here. We gave that dude a lot of airtime. It was great. I like the DraftKings thing. Ariel, is the time right to let us know what went down in Houston? Not yet. I did say it in one particular place, and it was very DL. It was on the low, but on this platform, nah. I don't want that drama. But it's a great story, by the way, and you all would be very proud of me. I will just say that. You all would be very proud. And Helwani was like in full effect. I just want to let you know. Like, it's a great story. It's a great personal story. I just want to let you know. I mean, it was just like a strong flex, just for the record. Rami, hey, Ariel. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the importance of having a good translator. Oh, yeah. I mean, Yoel had a tremendous translator throughout his career. Mizu was great back in the day. Derek, who does the Portuguese translation for some of the Brazilian fighters, does a great job. Ed Soares did a solid enough job for Anderson. I know some people didn't like him, but he brought a little character there. Sayat does a great job with his fighters, Fiziev and Pyotr. Yeah, it's massive. If you've got a dull translator or one that doesn't do, I mean, Yoel's was the best, right? Because he was like a villain. He was so good. Yoel's was fantastic. What was his name? Ray. Oh, what a legend. But yes, a good translator is extremely important. I feel like Charles Oliveira needs a good translator. Very important. Hey, Ariel, absolutely love your work. Thank you. Question, I don't follow MMA when McGregor was running through Aldo, so I didn't experience the seismic impact it made for fans. It was massive. If Chimaev were to beat Burns and then Usman, how would that compare? I mean, it would be big, but it wouldn't be the same. This was like a cultural movement. This was like people flying in from, I mean, it was meteoric. Also, I mean, McGregor's path to get to that point wasn't the easiest path. I know the Seaver fight was like the one outlier, but he had to go through, Chad Mendez on short notice, Dustin Poirier, Max Holloway. That was like a cultural phenomenon, totally different. They went to Ireland, that moment against Brandao. It would be gigantic and it would be great, but it wouldn't be the same in my opinion. Steven, does the undisputed champ and interim champ get the same pay-per-view points? It depends. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. It depends on who's who. But the important thing is the interim does. Do you know of any Canadian prospects that we should be keeping an eye out for? No one huge right now. I know there are some, and I don't want to leave anyone out, but there aren't a ton. We're starting to see more and more. Charles has been one, Charles Jourdain, but no like GSP or Rory that I know of. Maybe I'm wrong, and I hope I'm wrong, but it's been a bit slow since, GSP left and Rory got a bit older. Thoughts on the new Hab GM? Yeah, I like him. I mean, I don't know him personally, but agents turning GMs have had success, and he's a Montrealer, and he speaks French for whatever reason that still matters to people over there, which is crazy. Just get the best guy, but seems like everyone's really happy with the moves the Canadians have made with their new PR person and their new GM. They're going with the right people. So, I mean, it's been a horrible year, very depressing. Very disappointing after last year's run, but obviously a lot of changes. So I hope they can turn it around with these new people, and it was time for Bergevin to leave. Jake from the Windy City. What's up, Jake? What's up, Ariel? Happy New Year. Thank you. I mean, it's January 19th, for God's sakes. Who's more likely to write their own autobiography, Dana White or Vince McMahon? I mean, I guess at this point, Dana, because he's younger. Would you be interested? Absolutely. Favorite wrestling matches of all time? Bret Hart, Mr. Perfect, 1991 Montreal Forum. I'll never forget it. Also, Hart and Mr. Perfect 92 SummerSlam was tremendous. Also, I loved your guest appearance on Post Wrestling with John Pollock. Thank you. He's the man. One recommendation for an overall MMA history book I would like to give out is Total MMA by Jonathan Snowden. Great book. If the history of MMA was taught as a college course, Total MMA would be the official textbook used for the class. All right, there you go. High praise from Jake. All right,